Welcome to another episode with your girl Unique Speaks. Y'all know I'll be over here talking about what I'm talking about, and today we're talking about our identity. I'm going to bring you in on a little story time with you, girl, about my identity, how it was taken from me, and how God is allowing us to look back over our life on how His hand has been there, but all along also just to see how the enemy keeps distracting us off of God's design to put us on the design that He's trying to create. That is not going to last. So I want to get into that story time with y'all. This is just episode 2. So y'all gonna have to stick around because this is a drawn out story and I ain't gonna be able to tell it into one sitting. Okay. So stay tuned, y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up for me. Go ahead and share it out. Comment down below. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, all of the other good stuff. Join the family, turn the notification bell on because you never know when another episode is dropping on this channel. Okay.
It's your girl Unique Speaks. Talking about what I'm talking about. It's your girl Unique Speaks. Talking about what I'm talking about because it's what your girl is all about. It's your
All right, y'all. Welcome back to episode 2 with Unique Speaks, talking about what I'm talking about on the air podcast. Okay, so I'm excited because I thank God for giving me the opportunity to come and share my story, to come and share details that maybe I didn't see before, but God has allowed me to see, and now I'm ready to share them with others that they can not have to go down the same path that I went down, as well as how God can reach down and pick you up out of the valley when you feel like you're just so low. All right. So I pray that you find exactly what you came over here for. And I know, and it's going to turn into a series, y'all, because I'm not going to be able to share all of this in one sitting. So definitely have your notification bell turned on because you just never know when I'm going to drop another video. Okay. So, y'all, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another episode. And I am so excited to share with you where my life began. And I've shared this story on my channel before, but I'm going to be a little bit more detailed, okay? I want to bring you all in a little bit more into my mind, things that really went on in my life and just how I began to see life before God opened my eyes. So, trauma began very early, and many times I believe that God has shown me that a lot of childhood trauma is why, as adults, that we find it so hard to navigate ourselves back to Him. And because the enemy knows the calling on our life, even if we don't know it ourselves. And so, because of that, the moment we're born, just like before Jesus was born, the enemy already set up traps to destroy him. And so, just like us, who are born into this world created by God, the enemy wants to kill, steal, and destroy God's creation and His whole design of bringing us and restoring us back to Him. So He's going to make that very, very hard. And so for me, I didn't know this. And because I didn't know this, the trauma that began to jump on my life at the age of 3 years old definitely changed my mindset about men, relationships, and love. Those are the 3 categories that I'm going to be talking about because those 3 are what really hindered me from living the full life. And you can also see how we can tie this into what we're supposed to have with God, which is a relationship, a man, and love. God is our Father. Okay, so that already let us know that He's a male figure, a very strong, superior male figure. Okay, so God as our Father, okay, Creator, who we are, everything about our character, our personality. He put every hair on our head. He knows where everyone is. I am just convinced now, even the more, that when Jesus said that Satan wanted to be on the throne and be like him, He meant just that. And so at the age of 3 years old, I began to just see how men were. I had my father, I had a brother, but that design of what he wanted to be on the throne, I could look back and see how he started that real soon and used a man to push me away from man itself in such a way I won't see them the way they need to be seen. And then seeing God as a man, would He do this to me? Would He allow this to happen to me? At 3 years old, I didn't know God like that. I remember my mom and my dad going to church sometimes, but not all the time. And so I didn't learn a lot. don't remember a lot. I remember sitting next to my mom. I remember a man sitting on the pulpit doing a lot of yelling, but I didn't understand what he was saying. And possibly at the age of 3, who would, right? So at this age, I remember getting ready to go on a bike ride with my mom and my dad, my brother. But I only had a tricycle, didn't know how to ride it very well. So they told me to stay at the neighbor's house right up the street. So they let me stay there. She came to the door. She's the one who put me in the den. And I just started fumbling through books and magazines and stuff she had in there. One thing that my parents always told me was that I loved to read, even when I didn't know how to read. And so I would read the pictures. If there was pictures, I would put a story with it and keep it going. And so I didn't know her son was there, and I don't think my parents did. And so I'm just going to leave that there because I'm not trying to put nothing in my brain that ain't don't supposed to be there. So my parents didn't know he was there. And so I wouldn't have known what that decision would have changed for them. But for me, I was just shocked. I knew who he was. I met him before, at this age, you're kind of familiar with faces, right? So I'm in here reading this book, I'm thinking I'm reading this book. He asked me, he said, "What are you reading?" And I was just like, I'm reading a book. I'm reading, I don't know, And he was like, "Are you going to read me a book?" And so I was like, "Sure." So he sat down on the couch that was in the room and he sat me on his lap. Now, at the time, I didn't think of anything of it, but when I look back and I feel I don't even know if anybody can relate with this, but when you're triggered by something, when there's a memory that's in your brain, you cannot replace that. I don't care what you try to do. But it doesn't have to be so agonizing or, annoying in such a way where it sends you in these places that you don't want to be in. But what I'm saying is that I just can't forget how he positioned me on his lap. Yes, I was 3 years old, but I remember very distinctly that he put me and I felt something, you know, touching me, like my butt or wherever I was sitting on, and it was on him. And he began to move me back and forth. And I'll never forget that I felt so weird and uncomfortable. But I just kept reading because I was so nervous. I didn't know what was going on. And all I just remember is that when my parents came back, I was ready to go. I just was ready to go. But I never shared this with anybody. And so from that time that happened to about the age of probably like 7 or 8 years old, this man always found me somewhere, whether I was playing around their house, because when her grandchildren used to come over the person's house I was staying at, I used to play with them. So it was one of those moments where I just felt like, he was always going to find me, and I was always going to be scared in knowing that he was going to do something, make me lick his penis or put his penis in my mouth, or punch me with a ring pot one time, just trying to get me to, do what he told me to do. And I was just scared. I just remember being scared. And every time he would catch me outside of the house or something like that, I knew he was going to be doing something. And so I didn't know at the time what this was doing to my mind. But immediately I'm believing that my mind began to just have a sense of fear about men, because they were going to do something to me if I didn't do what they told me to do or wanted me to do. And he always made me nervous. But at this time, like, I'm starting to really look at men differently. I think I was even fascinated about them. I was even curious of even going any further. And shoot, my brother was around me, and he would definitely be playing these porns and stuff. I don't, my parents probably kept things around the house. Look, back in the day, it's probably just like somebody else's house, whether they knew their parents had stuff like this or not, but we did. And my brother used to let me go in him, and he would watch these things, and he'd be like, look at this. And I'm like, traumatized again, because I'm watching intimate sex. Like, I'm watching this type of intimacy in a way that I didn't even know that it existed, besides what this dude was having me do. And now I'm putting these two things together. My mind is now completely is just distraught. You know what I'm saying? Just like torn to pieces of what sex between a man and a woman and how that looks and what it's supposed to be like. Because now I got porn in me. Now I have a man, molesting me. And I'm putting two and two these things together, and I'm like, okay, then I must be on my way. I must be eventually going to reach this stage. And so I don't know if I was fascinated about it or just curious, but all I know, it had my mind in such a way where I couldn't think about Barbie dolls. I couldn't think about wanted to have an imaginary friend, or always wanting to do dress up just in a kitty-ish imaginary way. I played house and dress up in different ways, in different things, in a way different tactic that you would want a little child to do it. I will always be with a man, sex will always be involved, and I would get pregnant, and I would try to raise my children. And literally, I felt like I was just living out this life that I thought that was real. And I thought that it was how I was going to obtain that type of life. So I did play with dolls. I still, I did dress up in my room and stuff like that, but it always involved sex. It always involved, my lifestyle. Even as I was going to grow up, or I was trying to play, imaginary plan in my room, would dress up if I'm an adult, and that I was raising my child by myself. And it literally, that was my story, but we'll get there. So just remember all the things I'm trying to tell y'all, because you'll hear it later. But so all of this, and you want to add God into it, there was no room for him. Around this time, my parents stopped going to church. And my mom has her story, you know what I'm saying? That, why she stopped going to this particular church. But how all I know, how we wasn't going to church anymore. And I wanted to say that we definitely continue to go between by the time I turned 6 or 7, because I remember always during communion time, I wanted to eat my mama crackers. And she was like, just wait till we get home. So communion was always like, oh, I get to eat a snack, but yeah, it was not about that. My mom would never let me get none, and I would always be upset. But however, I would always want to go home and get some cranberry juice and some saltine crackers, y'all. And I don't even know if they used saltine crackers back in the day. They probably did, but all I knew was crackers and some red stuff, and that's exactly what I wanted. And I would do it at home as if I was in the church. Didn't know nothing I was doing. Again, things like this wasn't explained to me. My mom just said no. When parents say no, that's what they meant. You didn't get no explanation. So that was kind of like how it was for me. um, I want to just kind of share that, when it came to my brother was also molested by this person. So you're going to hear a lot of things about my brother. You're going to hear, I'm not going to say his name, but if you know me, then you know his testimony, and let him share the rest of it. And don't take anything away from this. But at the same time, I wanted to share that about him, because a lot of the things that he began to do later that you'll hear in this story, you'll understand where it all stemmed back to. Okay, so even for myself, my identity of a little girl was now sexualized. You know what I'm saying? Completely polluted with what the enemy wanted me to see about relationships, men, and love. And even though I didn't have much of a definition of my own for those things, he began to create that platform for me. So I got y'all to about the age of 7. Okay, so if you want to hear more of this story, you want to hear more, you're interested on the details of how this foundation of a false identity that I lived for 33 years, comment down below, because there are so many things I want to share, and that things began to happen that I want to be more relatable about, that you'll be able to see yourself and then navigate your way to healing, because the Holy Spirit wants us to healing at the end of the day. These things happen to us. Yes, they traumatized us. Yes, they literally brainwashed us to see things the way that we saw them or see them, but it's not the truth. It is not the truth. And as long as we believe that that is the truth about our life, that's exactly what we're going to live. And for 33 years, I had to live a lifestyle of a very promiscuous woman. And I just gave you the ages from 3 to 7. And yes, the ages of 3 to 7, like I said, he caught me all the time. So it was, if it was one thing to another, it was something that I just would never forget. And God was not there. So for me to know him, to understand him, to be able to pray to him, I didn't have no comprehension of that. So yeah, if you can relate with this story, comment down below. Let me know. Let's dig into this. Let's keep this going even further. I know God will give me more to share with you, but I pray that this blesses you to know that we all started from somewhere, and I'm not going to leave my story somewhere to sit in shame. I thought God wanted me to write a book, but hey, he took me in a different direction. So with that being said, I'm gonna see you in the next episode, episode 3. Don't know when it's dropping, y'all. So you gotta have your notification bell turned on so you can stay tuned to this story, so you can stay tuned to your healing. You can stay tuned for awareness, and new acknowledgement about how the enemy tries to destroy our identity. And we can't let that happen. All right. So until the next time, y'all, God bless you. I love you. And I know that I'm going to see you in the comment section because I really want to hear back from you. Okay. All right. Talk to y'all soon.